Hey guys, I'm not sure what happened there, man. Just the internet went crazy. We're just gonna pick it up right here, man. Forget the intro and everything, man. I don't know. I can't tell you what the heck just happened. Anyhow, first of all, and listen, you guys see who the guests are for today. Right quick, I just want to extend my condolences to the family, the 18 people and the 18 young kids and the 3 adults that senselessly lost their lives today. Want to just start off there. What in God's name is going on in this country where people, just walk into a school and just mow down young children? It makes no sense. So, my prayers to them. Secondly, you guys know, I wasn't with you guys last week. I said, we'd come back and really touch on the schedule. The schedule was released last week, and because of travel reasons and some personal reasons, I couldn't do the show last week. But then I ran into my man Tank, okay, and then my man Big Sills contacted me and asked me to be on his show. And I thought, I said for my guests coming back out the gate, what better show to have than these dudes right here? So let me tell you something. If you got seatbelts, buckle them up and put them on.
I'll tell you what, hey, Seth, the Toledo's tilting right now with us two, I'll tell you. You got that Toledo. I could say this to you, man. I mean, fights could be divvied out when it comes to making weight here on this one. So we're good.
Well, I used to, the one thing that I was not going to do, I was not going to give them any of my money back. So I was in that state the day leading up to weigh-in. I was getting my steam and my sauna and my cardio. So I was not, I think the most I got fined was when I played with the Saints. And I think I got fined like $2,000 one time. And that was all I needed.
Hollis, you must not have learned the 1 foot rule. I learned that from Jerome Brown. You got the 1 foot rule, man. You gotta tap it a little bit, man, to get that extra pound under there. They and I was stripped down butt naked. I didn't care. They said, "You gonna get naked?" Yes, I am.
If I was wearing the wig, if I had hair, I was going to cut it off. Um, but I was not giving them any of my money back.
No way, man. They take enough of it.
Yes, they do.
As you guys can see, this is gonna be a crazy show tonight. So let me just jump in. Dan, I know that you have some, some information, on Howie, but let me just say this: Howie has just been tearing it up this offseason.
Yep.
The draft is documented, the trades are documented. But last week we finally get CB2. Bradbury is signed.
Yep.
James Bradbury is signed into the fold. Then they go out and they add a guy that they've been interested in for a while, but they couldn't get their hands on him. Jeremy Moorhead, another cornerback. Then they go through the rookie camp and they get this kid, Carrick Wheatfall from Fresno State, that just impresses them so much that they now sign him to a contract. Then they turn around and they claim Josh Hammonds off waivers from the Jacksonville Jaguars, another guy from Florida that they've had their eyes on. Is bouncing around a little bit. The Eagles now have 12 wide receivers, 12 on the roster. This Wheatfall kid is another track guy, and we already know the Eagles signed, the Devin Allen kid. You guys, first Big Seals, you give me your thoughts on what Howie's doing. I know he's got to be peacocking a little bit right now at the prospect of what he's created this offseason after so much heat.
Well, Seth, I'm going to do this here. Excuse Commissioner Goodell, could you please bring the Lombardi Trophy to the Seth Joyner show? We'd like to have it put the Super Bowl in May. Make sure you put the Super Bowl in May on it because, hey, dude, peacocking, this guy's doing victory laps around Philly. He's out of South Philly going, hey, man, I got this roster. I've given you everything you need. I did this. I did that. I got this. Hey, man, I thought this was a team effort. Personnel people, coaches, everybody. Everyone's got to be rowing in the same direction, not just one guy. And I'll throw this back at you guys. There is no question that the guy who has the most power in this organization is the guy who's running and pulling the strings, and that is Howie Roseman. He's proven you can win a Super Bowl, I guess, guys, from the general manager's box because he says he did it in 2017. I'm with you guys. I think coaching, I think great play, I think players win championship. I think organizations put you in a position to put the right people, but players got to go out and play 60 minutes, man. So I don't know, man. I mean, he surely is taking the victory laps, as he should. He's addressed all the needs, edge rusher, wide receiver, cornerback. He's done all that. Could they have gotten a safety? Maybe they still will. But again, man, hey, rent's due in September. That's all I'm saying. Rent's due in September here. And all these victory laps right now, Hollis, I mean, it's great to have a roster like this.
Yep.
But let's see what happens in September when Reds.
Listen, Hollis, before I let you go, I never thought, Dan, you'd hear me say this. But, okay, this man's taken a lot of heat over the last, 3 years, ever since they won the Super Bowl. So, I guess on some level, because he's pulled off what he's pulled off, he's got to be feeling some sense of accomplishment, even though they got to get it done on the field. Okay, right. He can put together whatever it is that he wants to put together. Now the real challenge is not what he's done; it's what the coaches will now do and how they put it all together. Hollis, your turn. Go.
Well, I'm like him. I'm like the September. I'm waiting for September, but this is the first time that we went through an offseason and the draft that we don't have a bunch of picks. We're like, where the hell did he come from? This is the first time that we're not in the first round, and it's like Marcus Smith. Who the hell is that? What was that? This now he's saying what I think he's saying is, I finally did something okay enough. So now can you please get off my back? But it's like the part that I don't think that we're we're paying attention to is he's made close to all the right moves. But you look at it, it's a bunch of teams that's won in April and May and April, May, and June. But the real time is when it's September to February to me. If we could put it all together, but we did it with a good foundation though. We didn't go out and pick. We didn't go out and Justin Jefferson was there and we picked who was the kid we got now? Rager. We didn't go out and do that this year. We didn't go out and reach for anybody. We didn't go out and get Danny Watkins in the first and second round of the draft. We didn't go out and reach for anybody. And if he wants a pat on the back for that, tremendously. I was going to ask you. Didn't he go to the University of Miami?
Who?
Did Howie go to Miami?
How did he go? No. How did he go to Miami? Because if he went to Miami,
no, he went to Florida. He went to the University of Florida.
Oh, he's a Florida Gator.
Yeah, he's a Florida Gator. Yes.
That dude's a Gator. I hate his ass more now.
I know. I was saying that to see if you knew where he went to school at.
But if you look at, he ain't no Hurricane.
but if you look at what he's done so far, you don't hear anybody really complaining. Everybody
but
Hollis,
what's the difference between this team and what he's done and that 2011 team that they had all them stars when they brought in Nnamdi Asomugha, Vince Young? They brought all them dudes in.
But
that was an all-star team too.
I know, but listen to what you're saying. It was a bunch of cats. Nnamdi Asomugha, he's the best corner on a bad team, so he hadn't been tested. You got Vince Young. He the one who said he was what he said. What he say?
The dream team.
The dream team. They was dreaming. It turned into a nightmare, didn't it? It was. You got a bunch of names. This time you got a bunch of guys who are coming out of college. You got one guy who's proven in the NFL already, AJ Brown. That was tremendous to me. That right there. This is the second time, actually, the second time since Mike Quick that we got a true number one receiver. And now you have a guy who's still on his rookie contract, who proves that he can win. And now he's one of those guys that wants to get better all the time. It's like you set yourself up for victory. Now I still feel like 2017, he's probably saying that he's probably patting himself on the back now because Joe Douglas, you remember Joe Douglas was over there pulling those strings and stuff and getting those players. He's like, Joe Douglas did that. So this is, I think he's walking with the peacock walk now because he's like, Joe Douglas is in New York now. I did this. Look at me. Like he missed a big. But and overall, I'm happy with what he did. We got ourselves a big guy up front. I met with the rookies at the rookie barbecue. Seth, you missed that. That guy's a giant. All the young guys, they had a bunch of you guys missed Fredrickson. They also got a kid, Josh, out of University of Alabama at quarterback. They got some big ass quarterbacks too, dude.
Hollis, that dude needs to stay away from the buffet table though.
No, he's actually slim. He's like about 330, 35, 340.
Who?
Jordan Davis.
Really?
Yeah, he's and from what I'm hearing, he's the truth. He's like
well, I mean, listen, that's the one thing that Dan and I talked about today. You know, he's got a little bit of baby in him. You know, he's got a little bit of young boy in him. And you know, Philadelphia can be a tough city, not only to play in, but to live in. You know, because you're out and you moving and shaking on the weekend, on a Thursday and a Friday night. You get done doing what you're doing. You know, you want to go buy Pat's or Geno's, get your cheesesteaks. You know, you've never experienced them tasty cakes before. His ass can be up to 360 in no time. You know,
no time flat. But that's the
thing that worries me the most about him.
The one thing that I took from him too, and I learned this from you remember when the end of the season. This past season with them in college, where they lost that game to Alabama,
SEC title.
He felt like he was the reason that they lost. Do you know that he started eating right? He went and started doing cardio after practice and stuff. And did you see him in a championship game?
He was unstoppable.
Hollis, hold on. It's a second part to that. Now you remember when the kid Evan, the offensive tackle, talking about how tired he was and how he couldn't work out during the whatchamacallit. Who kept working out and got down to where he is. He's hungry. Put it this way: him, N'Kobe Dean, And a lot of those guys that are undrafted free agents are going to make that defense something, I feel like, a true number 10. We got some guys to plug in now to make it a true number 10. And I didn't talk to you about this because we were a top 10 defense, but it was fugazi to me. I was like, you can't be a top 10 defense giving up 10, 12 play drives after your offense. You have a young offense. They mash somebody down the field, 8 to 10 play drives. The other defense is tired. Get a 3 and out or a turnover. Put them back on the field, and you can have some true blowouts. We continue to give up third and long. Third and long, when is this guy? I know I'm getting ahead of your schedule, but I can't. But Gannon, I don't know. Is he going to pull the trigger on some true blitzes?
But guys, listen, hang on. You know what though, man? Jordan Davis is not going to start on this football team this year. He's not.
I know it's going to be a rotation.
You got a $12.7 million Hardgrave and a 14-4 Fletcher Cox.
Fletcher Cox, yeah.
You're going to put $30 million on the bench with a guy.
You're not going to put it on the bench, but as a big dog in that situation, there's a rotation, and he's going to get enough plays. It's going to be a rotation. When I didn't start my rookie year, I was an undrafted free agent. My rookie year, I didn't start to the 10th game of the season. You know why I started? Because the guys I was backing up, I had more tackles than them put together. So it was like, why don't we start this kid and give him more snaps? He's going to have to earn his keep. And he's got a couple of guys in front of him to make him earn his keep. But it's going to be a nice rotation to where at the end of games, we could dominate. That's what you want that type of rotation in your interior.
Listen, this is how I see it. You don't move up from 15 to 13 and give up a 4th and 2/5 for this guy to be a rotational guy. You got Fletcher Cox on a 1-year deal, and you're drafting this guy to be the future of your defensive line. I also believe that, there's no way that he's not going to play a significant role this year, more snaps than you normally would, because I think at the end of the day, Jonathan Gannon really, really wants to be, a 5-man front style defense. You saw it last year. They had Jannard Avery in that role. They got Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick brings a lot more versatility in what they can do, because you can't line them up at defensive end, at 6'1", 235 pounds, and think you're going to play him there every down. You can move him around. You can move him off the line. You can line him in a 5-man front, a 5-1, which is truly still a nickel look. And you can pull him off the line. You can drop him. You can pull him off the line, and you can bring him. There's so many things that you can do with Hassan Reddick, but that's the versatility that Jonathan Gannon now has as far as this defense is concerned. Is he's got some interchangeable pieces that he can use. Some interchangeable pieces that he can make offenses have to think about, okay, how are you going to attack? Because Hassan Reddick, he can cover the backside back out of the backfield, especially if he's up on the line of scrimmage.
But Seth, is that what you want him to do when you brought him in for $45 million to rush the passer? Look, to put him back in coverage, don't you want to get him? Hold on.
I got something to say.
But my point is, you can't rush him every single down. I'm talking about the versatility that he offers.
And I'm getting sick and tired of you jokers talking about we out there to make plays. We out there to stop the opposing offense. A sack is a caveat. Everybody keeps talking about sacks. You worrying about sacks will get the entire defense's ass whipped. Running upfield and they run the ball up your ass will get you killed every time. I get sick and tired of everybody. Stood on TV last year talking about I'm paid to make sacks. You got 35 tackles in 16 games. Who the hell you tackling? Nobody's gonna pass the ball. We run the ball down your throat, dude. I get sick. I was like, if I turned in the season with 35 tackles, I'd be ashamed of myself. And they give me all the cheese. Dude, I would be pissed. But everybody keeps talking about sacks. We've got to neutralize the opposing team's offense, kick their ass, and send them home. They need to fear us. We need our defense to be feared. The next time, if I hear Tom Brady them talking about, we know where the Eagles' defense is going to be at again. Did you hear they said that, right? They said we know what they were going to give us. They're going to give us the same stuff they gave us last time. We were Mr. Predictable. Man, come on.
But Dan, this is the thing that worries me about Jonathan Gannon. because I just don't see the versatility in what he does. Now I'm talking about the versatility because I understand what he can and what he can't do with all the weapons that he has. Listen, you finally got you got massive competition at the linebacker position.
Oh yeah.
So between Nakobe Dean, Kazir White,
TJ Edwards,
and Davion Taylor, you're going to get the best out of the linebacker position this year because all four of those guys.
Don't forget Sean Bradley as well.
And they're going to want to play, and they're going to want to produce now.
But Seth, what fits the best personnel for that? Then is it a 43, 34, 4-3-4?
Whoever's making all the plays now.
I think we get too enamored, with trying to put a label on, what defenses necessarily are. Listen, most of the time, defensive personnel is predicted by offensive personnel. Yeah. Okay? If they go four wideouts and one back, guess what? You probably going dime. And we saw Jonathan Gannon last year talk about we're not a dime team.
You better be.
When I saw
you better be.
When I heard that, I damn near lost my mind. I'm like, how are you not going to be a dime team, first of all? And second of all, how in the world are you going to say it in front of the 31 other teams that you got to compete against? Okay. Then 2 weeks later, I'm watching film and, I stopped the film. I'm like, I'll be damned if they ain't in dime. So I screenshotted and put it up on social media. I thought you weren't a dime team, So it's just nonsensical for us to have this conversation about, they're a 3-4 or 4-3. Listen, teams are pretty much a 4-2 now in this day and age. Now, you can make some adjustments. You can make some adjustments alignment wise. You can make a 40-man front, Dan, look like a 30-man front. It's all about alignment.
With the skies.
But my conversation about how you invoke this versatility is that you can make a 30 look like a 40, you can make a 40 look like a 30, you can make a 50 look like a 40. You can make it look like anything you want. See, and I see some people in here talking about some, 3-3, 3-3-5 nickel. Boy, I will choke somebody.
This is not college. This is not college. Put it this way: you run a 3-3-5 nickel in this league, they are going to run you up out of it. And the one thing that I will say, what you said about the versatility of the guys, we did mention Josh Sweat or Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham will be able to kick it down. I know they run some Barrett and some Cub fronts, which makes it look like a 5-man front, and you got that guy who can stand up all the time. But it's like you said, teams are dictating. If they come out in 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end and 1 running back, you better get Buffalo. We called it Buffalo personnel because we took a linebacker out and added a DB because they had 3 wide receivers. I didn't want to see Alex Singleton out there trying to cover a receiver. That would have been detrimental to his health and the rest of the game. But you do have to play your best, put your best playmakers out there defensively, and you have to. The offense, it truly does dictate what you put out there. Because if you come with that 3-3-5, and they come with what we call 22, you know what 22 is, don't you? 2 tight ends and 2 running backs.
Yes, sir.
They're running what we call doggy, and you don't want to see doggy.
Let me ask you guys this about Marcus Epps and adding him. You know what? Again, people are always talking to me about free and strong and said that they didn't really address it. How about how you guys look at him? I looked at him on film. 60 tackles a year ago. Yeah. He's not exceptional, but in today's age, you can't have $10 million players at every position. There's got to be dudes that are on that football field that are half the league is undrafted, as you mentioned, Hollis. Half the league is undrafted.
Well, that's what happens when you pay a quarterback $100.
Good enough to play in that defense right now to give him an opportunity, Marcus Epps, this year to see what the kid can do. He did have 60 tackles last year.
Well, and that was kind of a spot duty. I'm glad you brought that up. I think he's a good kid and he's a smart kid. The thing that I did like about he's hungry. That's what you get when you and talking to Nakobe Dean. I like him because he's pissed because of where he got drafted and why he got drafted there. When you come in with the chip on your shoulder, you have a lot to prove, and you continue to do that throughout your career. You know what I'm talking about, Seth. But when you look at the part that I'm hoping that happens that transpires is something that Seth said is this defense coordinator have the wherewithal or the nuts, or well, I won't say nuts. I'll say testicle fortitude to do what it takes to create what I love to call organized chaos. To make the quarterback uncomfortable, to let them know that you do what we say when we want you to. We're here to dictate to you what you do. No matter what personnel you send out there, I got a beehive for each one of them. I don't care what you send out there.
I don't know what his pedigree is, though, Hollis. I don't like.
Exactly.
Seth was talking to me earlier about that. I mean, do you come from Bud Carson's school of thought? Do you come from Tony Dungy's school of thought? Do you come from a Rex Ryan or a Buddy Ryan?
No, it's the coordinator who
his identity?
He just came from the coordinator he was under Zim, but he's also the coordinator who just got the Chicago Bears head job.
Everest? Everflus?
Yeah, he's he's better at sending blitzes and stuff. He's better at going with what he's a really good teacher. I've only been around him a couple of times, but he's had great knowledge of the game, and it's the way he calls his games too. I learned a lot from a few different people in playing, and you have to be like sometimes when you're out there, you have to be almost in the offense coordinator's head. Because when you go through film work, you have to go through games that they do, and you go through all their tendencies and stuff. So when you see a formation, you got to know what he likes out of that formation. So
yeah, but the difference is, do you talked about the fortitude,
right,
to make the difficult calls when you need to make the difficult calls. Okay, Eberflus, listen. He had a solid defensive, he had a solid defensive roster. So
right.
He didn't have any issues making the tough calls when he needed to make the tough calls.
Right.
Okay? The thought was last year was that Jonathan Gannon was as vanilla as he was because they felt like they didn't have enough talent-wise to be able to cover up, if they wanted to go pressure or if they wanted to play true man, in a situation where it really called for it. So he was a little tentative. And He was a little non-aggressive. And this is what I know about defensive coordinators and their mindset and how it affects players. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you call a passive game, then you set your players up to be passive. Yep. If you call an aggressive game, then your players tend to be a lot more aggressive in how they play the game. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I tend to believe, and I got to see it first in order for me to believe it. I don't care where he came from, Right. If I didn't see an aggressive side of him last year,
predictable
at all,
even in situations where you're playing against rookie or young quarterbacks who you can take advantage of. Okay, so now you got all this talent over here. Now you built your defensive line out. You re-signed Fletcher. You draft Jordan Davis. You bring in Hassan Reddick. You're getting BG back. You re-sign Derek Barnett. What the hell for? I don't know. But I don't know either. We got
Sweat. Face.
Josh Sweat turns around, and he has his best year last year.
You still got Milton.
Milton Williams. I like him.
Milton Williams.
And then the other kid out of Coastal Carolina, number 75, was coming on late. So
now you've got all of these guys on the defensive line. That leads me to believe that the focal point will continue to be the defensive line. Okay. And I will continue to say there's always points and times in games. I don't care how dominant you are up front, where it requires, for you to bring a little more pressure because you might not be getting it. The defensive line might be dominant next year, right. But there's going to be games where matchups are not going to be in their favor, and they're going to have to be a little more aggressive. And does Jonathan Gannon have the stomach for it? I'm tired of watching us on 3rd and 3 line our quarterbacks up off the ball, 7
yards deep.
And just give it away.
How about them quarterback completions? Derek Carr 90%, Tom Brady 78%. I mean,
did you the one thing? It's like you were saying. Is he gonna have the stomach to put some stank on it? It's basically what you're saying. Is he gonna when we line up stripe to stripe and the opposing offensive line has pretty much got our number? Is he gonna have the testicle fortitude to send a linebacker? to send a linebacker or two, or
You
maybe a safety.
guys, hey, the way you guys are talking, you don't think this team, or wait a minute, you don't think that group has the leader that's going to inflict their will on that opposing offense? Is that what you guys are saying?
Listen, I just haven't seen it. You know,
Yeah.
some semblance of it
Right.
would always crop his head out at some point.
But I think those are players, though, Seth. I think those are players having pride. I think those are players having pride, and them like, I'm not going to sit out here and just get my ass kicked. As a player, you got that type of pride. It's like you're going to take the calls he calls, but you at some point you got to stand up. It's like if he's not going to do it, it's like because it's like when in our time when we line up stripe to stripe, that meant they thought that we could whoop them. If we couldn't whoop them like we thought we could, we come back and say we need a little bit of movement, so we need to move around and get the bigums tied, and then we can come back and slap them. But I don't think this guy. He hasn't shown me anything like that. They cut up the line a couple of times in a couple of different games where they were running stunts and stuff. And if you're blitzing, all you gotta do is have somebody who knows how to cover for a split second. If you're blitzing right,
But how do you know? How do you guys know that one of the things that made them look slower last year was that you go from doing one style of defense under a Schwartz, and then all of a sudden you're getting a brand new playbook. It's like learning Portuguese and Japanese, and you go from one thing, and even Fletcher Cox said it last year when they were 2-5. This dude's telling us to do stuff here and to do shit here that, guess what, we're not understanding a little bit. And all of a sudden, when they dummied it up a little bit, they started playing a lot better defensively. So, Seth, I mean, could it have been a new system that made them look slower?
No, I think that, and before I pass it on to Hollis, I'll say this. And I want to just bring in this comment right quick from Jeff Taylor. Jeff says, what about certain overload blitzes and implementing some zone dogs on certain points of the field? Okay, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about.
Exactly.
You have to be multiple in what you do to be able to give different looks. Listen, I believe Fletcher was like very, very frustrated last year because even though they were pretty much, bringing a new system, they were pretty staunch about how they wanted that system played. And over the years, Fletcher has had the freedom and the ability, to kind of mix it up and go off script a little bit, just as long as the guys behind him understood and knew what it was that he was doing.
Right.
And you could see, you could see the angst between he and Tracy Rocker at times last year, where Fletcher was running around blocks and doing things that weren't fundamentally sound towards the defense. I think the more you understand the defense, the more familiar you are with it, then you know where the strengths and the weaknesses of the defense, where they are. Dan, you and I talked about it earlier. Earlier in my career, I didn't know where the strengths and weaknesses were. As my career, moved forward, I began to understand the defense. I began to understand fronts, and I understood where the strengths and where the weaknesses are, and where I couldn't take chances. If I could take a chance to make a play, then I would take it. But if it was one of those situations where I knew if I took a chance that it could be, the running back or the wide receiver was going to hit his head off the goalpost, then I had to play it to the letter. And it takes players a while to kind of figure out how to get there and understand all of that.
You're talking leadership, though, Seth. You're talking guys going like this. Me knowing Hollis's responsibility, me knowing TJ Edwards' responsibility, me knowing Darius Slay's job and his responsibility on 3rd and 3. You got a bunch of dudes now that are in a huddle, but when you get a group like you guys played for, you kind of know the tendencies of the guy you're playing next to and the guys you're playing behind. That comes with a lot of experience. This group hasn't been together like that. That's why this offseason, and this is why one of the reasons I don't really like the way the Eagles do their business. The OTAs and the mini camps, they kind of go through them, not really. The July camp, it's kind of they cancel it. They don't really go full go. Dude, a bunch of new dudes out here learning a new system. You need all the reps you can get here, man, to form your identity.
But that's they've been hamstrung with the new CBA. There's the fresh air fund with practicing. The people who are getting fined and stuff are the organizations like the Ravens and all those organizations are getting because it's supposed to be non-competitional is what it's called. There shouldn't be any competition yet in in any of the OTAs because it puts undue stress. But I know what you're speaking of. You got it because as a defensive and offensive lineman, you need those reps, you need that footwork, and you got to build continuity. The one thing that I don't see them doing though is going through blitzes. And I know what you're talking about him running around blocks and stuff. Because I've seen that, and I'm like, dude, why are you doing that? It's like you got to play within the framework of the defense.
Yeah,
you got to
that's
play,
what it is.
and then playing within. And then it's like when you talk about what you talk about. I can remember. I want to say it was my second or my third year where I knew I had to sit down and watch film, and I started knowing where everybody was supposed to be at, so that I can know why when to anticipate a spike call, when to anticipate a nail call, when to anticipate a wing stunt, or Hugh made them make a slice and a wing stunt. You know that's the defensive end coming inside. You know why they made that call? Because Hugh was going to do it anyway. Hugh Douglas, he was going to do it anyway. So they gave it a name. They gave it a slice, and on the weak side it was a wing. So it's like you just knew the guys you were playing with, but you knew the defense that you were in. That's part of your job as a player. If you're not there to get better, then you're gonna be stagnant. You're gonna make some money for 3 or 4 years, and then you're gonna move on. You're gonna move on to something else. But
let me talk. Let me just speak on the whole CBA thing. Listen. Okay. I understand why. I understand why the union created this, but they created it to the detriment of the young player, and I'll tell you why. At the end of my freshman year, Buddy Ryan asked me, what I was doing. I was like, Coach, I think I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to school, work towards my degree. He looks at me. This is my exit interview now. He looks at me. He says, you're either going to be a student or a football player. The off-season program starts February 28th. And he pointed to the door like, get your ass out of my office, okay? So where do you think I was on February 28th? So every single day, Monday through Friday, I was lifting weights. I was running. Yep. I was, watching film. I was working technique on the field with Wade Phillips every day from February 28th right on through, to when the coaches went on vacation in June. Now, no break, no nothing. We just worked. But let me tell you this: it was the most critical time and point for my development in my career. Because all the things that I needed to know and all the things that I needed to learn systematically, I was introduced to those things throughout that February, March, April, May, June, that 5-month period. Okay. Right. So now when you have players that are around for a whole season, then the union and some of the older players started to feel like, well, man, they're monopolizing our time all off season. Okay. So we need to do away with this. Right. But it's stupid that you only got these small amount of times where you can get together with your coaches, especially for the young players. The older players who've been around for a while, they know what to do. They know how to be professional. The problem is the young players, these young quarterbacks, like Jalen Hurts needed to be here this offseason as much as he could with Nick Sirianni and his quarterback coach. If his quarterback guru, if you need to fly him in, then you fly him in. But he needed to be here.
Yeah, but Seth, he's in Southern California, not with his group here, and I'm going like this. Why? Why aren't you with your guys? Why aren't you doing what Brady does at a high school he's over at Tampa Kirsten or Tampa Catholic with all of his offensive dudes on their own time.
Well, listen,
they're doing that stuff on their own time, and this is the GOAT.
I'm not going to say
he had the GOAT. The GOAT don't cheat. Ain't no damn GOAT.
Oh, please don't get all stuff. Listen, I know that I'm not going to say that Jalen's not doing that. My issue is you can be in the building lifting weights in the whole off-season program, okay? But you can't have interaction with your coaches. You can watch film. You can get together like a group of linebackers, but your linebacker coach and your defense coordinator cannot be in that room.
Exactly.
For me, that makes no sense whatsoever. None. Okay. None. Even if you as a player wanted to come in and work with your coach, the CBA disallows it. Yep. To me, that makes no sense whatsoever.
None whatsoever. And if you look at it, as well, they've taken a lot of the hitting out. You get yourself prepared for now 17-game season. by practicing. You play football. All those soft tissue injuries, they're going to happen every year at the
Yeah.
beginning of the season because nobody practices. Everybody holds their guys out in the preseason games. It's like you don't even know if your guy's coming back is going to be the same again. You don't. It's not. You can't just roll the helmet out there and think that things are going to be the same way they was last year. It's an eye-opening experience when you try to play like that, and you're gonna get your butt kicked. You're gonna get kicked, and it's gonna get kicked, and it's gonna be awful.
Hollis, I don't know how you develop an offensive line when everyone knows compared to defensive linemen, offensive linemen, it's almost as hard to develop an old lineman because there's 5 guys
Right.
and you need constant reps. And
Yep.
that's the one
And-
advantage that the Eagles have in this whole thing here
Yep.
is the fact that they got a veteran group. And that
Yep.
veteran group is what's really running this thing, giving them an opportunity to be players in the NFC this year is because of that group they have. And what Seth said, by adding the depth on the other side of the football, they're front 7 now.
Right.
They got rotation. They were
But you
30
also
sacks last year, Hollis.
there you also look at look at what the offensive line does. You see they got depth on the offensive line too. So it truly is that next man up principle. I've watched him get each guy ready. It seemed like I'm like, how does he have enough time to teach these guys all the technical stuff and to get them ready?
The
If
kid
you look at-
Stoutland's amazing.
Yeah,
Stoutland's great.
I call him Stout Guy. Hey, that's my guy. I love watching him coach because he's not one of those yellers, but he's in there and he's telling the kids, he's teaching the kids, and it's just like every time he gets a hold of somebody or he gets somebody new, he's got the beef jerky guy. He said he's getting them ready because he's going to have to be the predecessor to he's going to be changing of the guard. But that's the key. The key to any team is up front, the line, offense, defense line. If you got that, and then you just got to build. That front 7 on defense needs to be killers because it'll make the back end much easier to find. But if you ain't got a good front 7, well, you can cancel Christmas.
Before we dive into the schedule, and I got the full list right here. The Eagles got 5 primetime games this upcoming season. Before we dive in, I want to go back and I just want to touch on the expectation of this football team, and I want to caution. Hollis, you brought up the dream team. Back in the day, there's a lot of people with a lot of expectations. For this team this upcoming year. There's still young players on this team, and the thing that I would like to see, there's a lot of chatter that's going on. Michael Irvin's bumping his gum, talking about the Eagles are forming a dynasty, and Skip Bayless, a known Dallas lover is talking about the Eagles are the front runners to win.
Be careful.
Hey, Seth, wait, guys, I'm gonna stop you. I got the Eagles winning the NFC Championship.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, these players need to put some earplugs in. Okay.
Yeah, big time.
They need to put some earplugs in and not listen to all of this crap. Okay.
Don't eat the cheese.
I feel the same way because I got my predictions right here. When we get done going through these games, I'm gonna tell you how many games I think they can win.
31st easiest schedule.
Doesn't matter though.
It doesn't matter. The thing to me,
what they better do is be focusing on getting better and not listening to their press clipping because that's the same damn thing that got the dream team got them beat and got them embarrassed. Okay,
but they don't eat the cheese. Sean Payton used to bring cheese and put it in everybody's locker when we would get on a win streak. He would bring like a piece of fake cheese and put it in everybody's locker, tell them don't eat the cheese. Like a rat, because all they do is set you up for failure. But the thing that I do want to see, and I see just by the way that Jalen Hurts carries himself, and the way that everybody is still working hard and stuff, I just want to see a step up. Like win a playoff game, and see what happens that next game. Like a win or two more than what we had last year, and because in some of those games we lost last season, I feel like it was because our defense let the other team just walk all over them. We were in the game, but our defense kind of let them walk. That's why I said the 10 ranking was fugazi, and I felt like we just still got defensively walked all over. But
I will say this: I think that Jalen Hurts is in a different realm as far as what his mindset should be, because he is literally competing for his NFL livelihood of his life right now. Some of these other guys, some of these other young guys that's going to be called upon to play this year, I can see it would be real easy for them to kind of, get caught up in the moment, get caught up in all the hoopla of what they hear. But sometimes you just need to put your fingers in your ears, put your nose to the grindstone, and just go to work and let the chips fall where they may.
But Seth, do you think
let what you create on the field speak for your team?
Seth, do you think though that they're going to give him enough time knowing this? There's 7 quarterbacks that are going to be taken next year in the first round. They got 2 number ones. I'm saying this. I think as of today, on May 24th, 2022, I think they got them first round picks earmarked for a quarterback unless Jalen changes the room.
That's the insurance
if
policy,
he goes
man.
out there and wins,
but hold on.
If he goes out there and wins, they're gonna go with him.
Let him finish, Holland. Let him finish, Holland.
If they don't, I think they're gonna take a kid because again, 3,100 yards, being a guy can only spot one guy in the open. They were screaming it in the game against the Buccaneers. You got a number 1 guy now on your team. You drafted a guy in the first round last year. Okay, there's no excuses here. If he can't win a lot of ball games with the team they have right now, they earmarked those 2 ones, in my opinion, for a quarterback. I'm rooting for the kid. If the kid goes out there and balls like we think he's going to, he'll win this job. I think they're 50-50 on Jalen Hurts going into the July camp.
Go ahead, Hollis.
Well, if you don't know anything about competition, that's in every position. If you don't get the job done,
but this is the most important position.
But they still are going to draft somebody at your position. It doesn't matter who
in the first round.
Yeah, damn
I'm
right.
Those first round
we got two $10 million defensive tackles. What did they draft first overall?
There was a poor quarterback class. They weren't going to take a guy.
Dan,
Alice, there was nobody in that draft better than Jalen.
Let him finish, Dan.
What they draft first overall? 2 $10 million defensive tackles. What did they draft first overall?
Okay.
Boom shakalaka. If you're not getting your job done, they're gonna bring somebody in here who will get it done. That's on him. That's what competition is about. Competition brings the best out of everybody. So if that's what I'm saying, I feel like the pressure is going to bring the best out in him. Now, you was talking about
he's never competed for that
you
job.
talking about the Tampa Bay game. It was like nobody still said anything about the Dallas guy dropping the pass wide open. Nobody said anything about people when they drop the pass wide open.
Never competed for that job.
You making me think you're a Carson Wentz fan too, because Carson Wentz sucks ass, and he's on his third team in 3 years.
Never competed for that job. They gave it to him.
Okay,
exactly. Hold on. Say it again. Say it one more time.
Jalen Hurts never competed for that job.
He did.
Who'd he beat out?
Carson Wentz decided he didn't want to be here for the competition.
Oh, yeah. So he beat Carson Wentz out.
So Carson Wentz led the league in throwing picks, right?
Listen, when Doug Peterson got fired and Nick Sirianni got hired, he said every single position will be up for competition. Every position, even quarterback. When Carson Wentz heard that, Carson Wentz wanted no part of it. He wanted out. Okay? He completely tapped out. You are 100% right, Andy Lugo. 100% right. Let me give you some love. He tapped.
Way to go, Andy. He tapped out.
So you have competition with a guy who signed a $140 million contract with a guy you drafted.
Put it this way, what about the rest of the team? If you sticking up the joint and you getting our ass kicked, I don't want your ass on the field. I don't give a damn how much money they paying you. My life don't stop. Get that bitch off the field.
Okay, so listen.
I get sick of that, dude.
But before I need to transition. I need to transition to the schedule. I'll say this in closing about those 2 first-round draft picks next year. See, this is the genius of Howard and the things that sometimes people don't see. Now, we may have our concerns about his ability to draft talent-wise, but I never doubt his ability to maneuver and get draft capital, okay? The moves that he made was to make sure and ensure that he had 2 first-round draft picks next year, 2 in 24. So now he's got the draft capital Because if for some reason or another Jalen Hurts can't be the guy, okay, now they're in position to go and get the guy.
Right.
Okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah.
I'm just one of the people that don't count Jalen Hurts out.
Me neither.
I just will not look at the guy and say what he can and what he can't do, because as a former 8th round draft pick, if that was the kind of mentality that was thrust on me, no one would ever heard of Seth Joyner. He's
undrafted free agent. Undrafted free agent.
He's willing to put in the time, the work, the effort, everything that's necessary. And people forget. Go back and look at the great throws that he made. But all we want to talk about is the bad throws that he made. Oh, his arm ain't strong enough, and so on and so forth. Go and listen to the clip on the Seth Joyner show when I had Merrill Reese on. And Merrill Reese said the only player in the draft the year that Jalen Hurts came out that threw the ball with more velocity was Justin Herbert. The only quarterback. Okay? So that whole belief that he can't wing it is nonsensical. Okay? So now let's jump into the last 10 minutes. Let's jump into the schedule. And I'm gonna run it down for you. Okay.
Okay.
First game out of the block, week 1, September 11th, we got the Lions at the Lions. Then we come back, we got the Vikings on Monday Night Football in the late primetime game number 1. Then we got the Commanders away. Then we got the Jaguars at home, the Cardinals away, the Cowboys on Sunday night, primetime game number 2. Okay. Then we got a bye week, October 23rd. We come back against the Steelers at home. We got the Texans the following week on Thursday Night Football, primetime game number 3. Then we got the Commanders at home on Monday Night Football. So they go Thursday night, come back with Monday Night Football, primetime game number 4. Then they got the Colts away, the Packers at home, the Titans at home.
That's the toughest stretch of the schedule right there.
Yeah, that is right there.
Colts, Packers, Titans.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's because of how they play the game, right?
Yeah, and then they've got that other primetime game is you got the Packers on Sunday night, then you got the Titans at home, the Giants away, the Bears away, and the Cowboys away for their last primetime game. That'll be on a Saturday night on the 24th of December on Christmas Eve. And then they finish up the last 2 games away and at home against the Saints and the Giants. Now, as I went through my list, okay, I got them 12-5, 11-6. Conservative.
Yep.
I'm leaning more towards the 11-6 than the 12-5. And people say, oh, well, what games do you have them losing? I think they go to Arizona and lose. That's the first game that they lose of the season. I think they beat Minnesota at home on Monday night. That's the toughest game that they have, throughout the first 5 or 6 games of the season. But I think on October 9th, they go to Arizona. I think they lose that game. I think that, they go to the Colts. They lose that game. Let me see. I think they split with Washington, believe it or not.
I think they split with Washington. Washington's got a really good defense. So I feel like they split with Washington.
They split with Washington.
Right.
So that's 3 losses. Then they run the table against, these, because they got the Titans at home, and because they're going to be so much better on defense, and you got Ryan Tannehill. I say they beat the Titans at home. If they had to play the Titans on the road, I might lean towards them losing that game. But they beat the Titans, they beat the Giants, they beat the Bears. They split with the Cowboys. They lose to the Cowboys late in the season, that Saturday night game on the road, and then they win the last 2. You guys, give me your thoughts.
How do you, Hollis, Seth, what do you think of this, though, as part of the schedule when it comes to health? Look at this. From week 6, Cowboys, you're home. You get a bye, home. You play the Steelers, home. Then you have to go on the road. Then you come back, you're home. Then you're on the road to Lucas Oil. Then you're home and home. For 8 weeks. 6 of those 8 weeks, you're at home.
Yeah.
How much do you think that plays into the schedule for health? Because that's in the middle of the year
Yeah.
where you get the bye and you got 6 of the 8 weeks at home.
Mhm.
How much does that play into it?
To me, it plays into a point because I had us going 11-6. I just had us up from 2. I had last year. I said 9-8 or 9-7, 9 and whatever.
Yeah,
With the chance to go
17
to the
games.
playoffs. Yeah, so it's like So I figured this year 11 wins mainly because I feel like we're progressing. We're a young team. I feel like this year we'll be able to get a playoff victory. But that stretch that you just mentioned, it plays a giant part in the way I picked it. Because you don't have to you don't have to pack up and go. You don't have to take that extra time and get the guys who need treatment. You get that extra treatment here instead of being on the road and being on the plane and stuff and all cramped up. And you're at home, and it's a lot better to sleep in your bed. It makes for the backup players to play better, and your special teams and the whole shebang. I still feel like we have a work in progress, but I feel like we're gonna surprise some people if we make a deep playoff run.
This Saints game late in the year probably kind of gives me a little bit of angst because before Jameis Winston got hurt, he was 5-2,
Right.
and he was actually outplaying Brady. And they add Jarvis Landry. They get that kid Olave from Ohio State on the other side of Michael Thomas, who was
they
at
got
the
the Honey
facility
Badger.
today. You get
They add the
Kamara
Honey
back.
Badger too.
They could.
They have the honey.
It's not Sean Payton, Hollis, calling
No.
the plays, but
Right.
Mickey Loomis is a good GM. That's a great organization. That could surprise some people.
Yeah, and Carmichael guy who's the offense coordinator, he's actually I like Carmichael. He's a good offense coordinator. They think along the same lines, and I think they're gonna. If this will be Dennis Allen's second opportunity to be a head coach because he had the Oakland job, he had the Oakland Raiders job as well, and he can't screw this up. So I'm thinking he's going to do a lot better because he's had an opportunity. Yeah, I've always loved him as a good defensive coordinator. He actually played with William Thomas at Texas A&M. Did you know that, Seth?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So but he was a defensive assistant when I first got to New Orleans, and he has that mind. He has a good mindset, but I think that's one of those games that's going to be iffy. But I still got us going to 11-6. So.
I think that Minnesota game, Hollis, is going to tell us too because look, you got Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, and you got a quarterback who's very underrated in Cousins, who's thrown.
He's not underrated. He sucks. Kirk Cousins sucks.
Hold on, Hollis. Well, okay, he's thrown for six times 4,000 yards. The Eagles have only had one 4,000-yard passer in their history. In their history.
How many playoff victories you got?
I get it. How many playoff victories did Matthew Stafford have before he went to L.A.?
But one. Matthew Stafford playing for Detroit.
Had one. He had one
Detroit,
playoff
though.
victory, and
he had for Detroit.
Hey, and get this, he had Megatron.
You probably like Tony Romo. You probably think Tony Romo was great.
Tony Romo, Blue Dog.
Thanks. Okay, I'm just making sure. So you know that Kirk Cousins sucks. Kirk Cousins sucks to the high heavens.
Well, listen, you know what? Hey,
that offense is good.
That offense is good. Kirk Cousins blows sharks, though.
I disagree. I disagree. I disagree, Hollis, and this is why. You know, the biggest detriment to Kirk Cousins is pressure. Okay, it's the same thing. It's the same exact thing that forced, Sean McVay and the Rams to make the trade to ship Jared Goff off and bring in Matthew Stafford. He just does not operate under pressure well. If you keep him protected and you're running the ball, Dalvin Cook is healthy, Kirk Cousins is dangerous, man.
But if you move him off his spot, right? You move him off his spot, he can't handle it. That's what you're talking about.
You have to hit him early. If you hit him early, it changes all the dynamics.
Kurt Warner.
Now, not everyone, and I see your face, Hollis, not everyone has the wherewithal to do that. But this dude has put up numbers. He just has not been able to win the big game.
He sucks. I'm sorry. I'm not kissing the overrated loser's ass. He had that same stuff, and they were wondering what the hell happened to him. Who the hell is he? I'm not giving that fool no damn guaranteed money like that. Hell no.
I'll tell you what. So wait a minute. You think Jalen Hurts will throw for 4,000 yards ever in his career?
I think he'll win more. I think he'll win a lot of games.
No, no.
That's all
Actually,
I'm
you
looking
think
for.
he'll throw for 4,000 yards in his
You
career?
go on stats. I go on W's. I don't
Okay.
play with the L's. You
Okay.
play with the L's all you want to.
No.
Because the guy
You
you're
get
talking
paid
about,
on
he threw
stats
for
in this league too.
those you don't get paid. Like, you get paid on
Really?
stats, but you get
How
paid for
did he
winning
get
though.
paid? He didn't get paid on winning in
You
Washington.
get paid for winning.
He got that $87 million because of what he did put numbers up in Washington.
Yes, and what has he done in Minnesota?
I said
What
my
has he
point
done in
was
Minnesota?
he got paid making money.
What has he done in Minnesota?
Or throwing them stats around.
What has he done in Minnesota? I'll wait.
Hey.
He couldn't take him for Teddy Bridgewater.
What?
He couldn't
Teddy
take him for
Bridgewater
Teddy
was a
Bridgewater.
good player before he got hurt.
I know, but he couldn't take him for Teddy Bridgewater took him.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dan Cilio and Hollis the Tank Thomas. Okay, gentlemen, that's our show for tonight. I got to bring you two back on again.
I loved it with you, Hollis.
Thanks, man. Nice to meet you, Dan.
Hey, man, I love going back, Hollis. It's awesome. Thank you.
No problem, baby.
I appreciate you guys' time. I tell my guests every single week, our time is our most valuable commodity. You guys have been rocking with me for 61 minutes and 10 seconds right now, and I humbly thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Seth. It's an honor to be your friend.
Yes.
Hey guys, listen, make sure you go and you hit that like button. Go over to Seth Joyner Show on YouTube and subscribe to the show. Please do that for me. Listen, I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, be good to each other and take care of each other. But most importantly, make sure you love each other. I will be right back here next week, same place, same time, with another Seth Joyner Show for you guys, talking Eagles, talking NFL, bringing you guys all the best. All right? Peace. Take care, y'all.
God bless.
See you later, man.